And shalom, everyone. Shalom. I want to welcome everyone to the house of the lost sheep of Israel. And I'm Elder Michael Johnson, which will be bringing today's message. But we want to look at a few things that we need to clearly understand between what's going on from last week also until this week. Because last week we looked at being self-righteous. We was being self-righteous. And now we're looking at one need to check ourselves. One of the biggest problems we have is from last week to this week. Many of us, we'll go and we'll sit in places and we always hear all this good stuff. Everybody's going to heaven. Everybody that is in this place is good, and everybody that is out of this place is bad. We look at everybody and we examine everybody, every move, everything they do. And based on what's going on in your circle, in your building, you examine them. So we want to look at some things because, as I said, we need to check ourselves. Check yourself besides checking others. So we're going to look at a few things. Have you ever done a self-examination? Have you ever done a self-examination? How many that are really self-righteous and always find themselves perfect, and no matter what situation happened or what went down, they was always right. No matter what happened. They were marginalized in their head and figure out a way to where they were right every time. However, if you truly take the time, and pay attention to your own actions, watch how you regard for people, examine yourselves for errors, you're going to find out that you have a problem. If we did just that, what you think you'll find? What do you think you'll find? I know many people already should have a foresight on this answer within themselves, based on the examination, if they even did it. Here's why. We already had a foresight on the other person on what you call yourself examining. You already examined someone, foresight, and already came up with an answer before you even examined them. But you don't have one for yourself. So this was the reason for examining them in the first place, figuring what they had problem with and issues that you now see that which are the things, but what makes you right in your eyes according to what? This is big when it comes to God. And how many see God? Some put all their faith, and most people don't know the difference between faith. And I can ask the question. And when we get in the back today, That question gonna come up again. And this is the question. And I asked this before. Because most people put all their faith in what they want to call, and they use the man to what they look to is Jesus. Some will put a man in that place of Jesus, not knowing it actually has another structure within that name. So faith, is it literal or is it figurative? If it's figurative or is it literal? Most people don't know the difference between that. But that question is going to come up again. And believing in that, believing he is God and he's not God. He was a prophet no different than Moses. So that comes with a question. That comes with a perfect question. If Jesus was God and died, your faith and focus should be in hoping that you die the same death that Jesus did. That should be your hope in what you're seeking. However, it's not that. You seeking that everything is good. Because you have no faith in what you truly believe. Self-righteous. Self-righteous. And you checking other people, but you being a hypocrite yourself. Because if you believe in this same Jesus who lived and was ridiculed and beaten and all these things and then killed, and you said all your hope and your faith is in him. And as 1 Peter chapter 2, verse 21, we're going to be looking at some of these things. It says that you should follow in his steps. So your hope and your seeking and your promise should be into going through the same thing that he went through. So you can achieve the same thing that he achieved. What do that have to do with self-examination? Because many of us are hypocrites. Many of us are hypocrites. Because we don't believe what we actually say we do. Many of our belief in faith is faith of flesh. And flesh is death. Not just in this world, but the world to come. But flesh will not be part of the world to come. It has nothing to do with it. So what you have is faith in flesh. But many will fail this self-examination. And I say they pass. However, self-righteous is self-righteous. So we have to look at this self-examination. We have to look at this because we got to examine ourselves and find out where is our real faith is. We need to look at this really good. So let's check something out here. We're going to go over here to 2 Corinthians chapter 13. We're going to pick it up at verse 5. 2 Corinthians chapter 13, and we're going to pick it up at verse 5. And it says this. It says, examine yourselves, whether ye be in the faith. Prove your own selves. Not someone else. Prove your own self. Know ye not your own selves how that salvation anointed one is in you, except ye be reprobates. This is clear. As I said already, what do you believe? What is your faith in salvation's anointed one? How your results will come out. Because many are truly not sure how their results going to come out. And some, it's going to have a problem. Meaning this. Excuse me. 2 Peter chapter 2. We're going to look at verse 9. Let's look at chapter 2 in verse 9. And it says this. And it says, but he that lacketh these things, because we're going to get into it, is blind. So what we're going to get into, if you lack some of these things, what we getting ready to get into, you're blind. Cannot see afar, cannot see afar off. We're going to find out what that is. And have forgotten that he was purged from his own sins. I truly want you to dig into yourself and come up with your own determination, because some of us going to have a problem. And this is why he says, if you like these, this is what you better not be liking. Let's start digging into this. It says, wherefore they rather, brethren, give diligence to make your calling and election sure. For if ye do these things, ye shall never fail. Meaning what? If you lack diligence, diligence is to watch and guard and truly what you believe you have faith in. That's what we're talking about. And you have self-examination, making your calling and your election sure. We're so sure on somebody else, but not sure on yourself. We're so quick to judge somebody else and not ourselves. Not giving diligence to these things, but men giving them somewhere else. Making us really what? Reprobates. That's what it's doing. It's making us a reprobates. Why do I say that? Because he gonna say a little bit more here. He got a little bit more to say here. Watch what he says, then we're going to make it perfectly clear for us. Let's go down to verse 6. He says, but I trust that ye shall know that we are not reprobates. Did you see how Paul put this? See, I'm doing it so carefully because I don't want you to trip and miss something. And people say, "Oh, I didn't hear him say that." No, I'm gonna make sure you hear it. I'm gonna make sure you see it. Paul ain't saying you're not reprobate. He didn't say, "Well, I know you guys are not reprobate." He says, "But I trust that ye shall not be one." He trusts. He's not saying you're not one. He's saying he just trusts you're not one. Because someone that rejects and despises the truth of the word of God. So our self-examination without lying to ourselves, and if we carefully examine each one of these qualities, meaning what quality? Something that you need to have within you. You need to have diligence, virtue, knowledge, temperance, patience, godliness, brotherly kindness, and charity. These need to be in you. These need to be in you. So he's trust. He's telling you right here. He trusts. He say, but I trust. I trust. He ain't saying you're not. He said, I just trust. He hoping that you're not like that. He's just hoping you're not like that. Let's look at something. Let's move down. Because he's still on reprobates. He's still keying on. He says, now I pray to Yahweh that ye do no evil. See, because he's saying, I just trust you, not reprobates. But he pray to God that you do no evil. Why? Because he's not sure if you reprobates or not. Not that we should appear approved, because many of us self-righteous. We just think we're going to appear approved. And we're not. And we're not. He says, but that ye should do that which is honest, though we be as reprobates. I'm telling you, we have a problem. Because we've been taught that everybody who is within a certain circle is good, and anybody who's not in that circle is not good. Are you with me? See, Christ said this in Psalms chapter 81. Psalm said this in chapter 81, and we're going to look at verse 12. He said this. He said, so I gave them up to their own hearts. Lust. Give them to their own hearts. Lust. They walk in their own counsels. This is where our problem is. This is where the problem is. Because when we then got in groups, we didn't got in these cliques, we didn't do these things, and one person is pushing a certain thought, that's the lust of their heart, you're going to walk in that counsel, and everybody outside of that is wrong. But the Bible makes sure we're clear on this. Let's look at Matthew. Let's look at something. Matthew chapter 15. 15, we're going to go down to verse 19. And we want to see here where Christ is speaking again. He says, for out of the heart proceed evil thoughts. So don't ever come and people should be saying that God knows my heart. That should never come out of anyone's mouth. Excuse me. Because Christ is going to tell you that's what comes out of there. So if you tell me God know my heart, I'm going to go right back to his quote. For out of the heart proceed evil thoughts. Diligence, virtue, knowledge, temperance, godliness, brotherly kindness, charity. You see that what he's saying here? Out of the heart proceed evil thoughts. Murdering, adulteries, fornication, thieves, false witness, blasphemy. So doing a self-examination, you be honest with yourself. You answer for yourself with all diligence. And thus have deceived, betrayed, even Christ. Even Christ. This is why I say we got to get really serious with this. Really down into the nooks and cranny of this. Because when we sit there and we say these things, out of your own hearts is the lust thereof of it. And what we trying to do is get rid of this stony heart. Because he's telling you, not me, not anyone else, he's telling us that out of our own hearts proceed evil thoughts. But we need to check it. We need to check this. We need to check this because we have a problem. Let's look at something. See, if Christ came and we deceive Christ, what were we trying to do? We even betrayed him ourselves. You can't tell me we didn't, because we did. We call ourselves, we don't betray him, but we do, like clockwork. How do we do? Let's look at some examples. We're going to look at something real close. Let's look at how people sit there and they say they take communion. They take communion. But we're going to find out how shady people is. We got to find out, are we shady within ourselves? See, the problem is we'll see things in scripture and then we'll change it to make ourselves right or make the group that we're part of right. Do it make it right? No, because the Bible is the Bible. So let's look at something, and I'm going to show you on communion alone, we're going to do a self-examination, and you come up with your own determination on whether you being a reprobate or not. Let's look at something. We're going to look at this. We're going to go to 1 Corinthians, and I'm going to show you how we are. How we are as a whole. We're going to go to 1 Corinthians chapter 11. We're going to pick it up at verse 23. At verse 23, we're going to pick this down apart. And we're going to find out something about us. Something about us. Watch this. It says, for I have received the Creator, that which also delivered unto you, that the Creator of salvation, the same night in which he was betrayed, took bread. The same people that took this knowledge betrayed him. Was it us? See, stop worrying about who was at the table with him. You worry about what knowledge that you have gotten, and did you betray him with this knowledge? This is the problem that we have. See, many of us claim we have received Christ. Many of us. Where our problem is. See, this is where our problem. We received Christ, which was delivered to you. And many will say in other places, as Christian churches, one of the worst places you can be in. One of the worst places you can get knowledge from. Which we fill with lies, and they telling you they're giving you the truth. Here's the reason why. The Creator of salvation was betrayed by the same night by the same people who took the knowledge of the bread. For that reason alone, we're going to see how. For that reason alone, we're going to see how. Watch the Bible talk to you. Watch how it's going to talk to you. And we're going to find out who betrayed who. We're going to find out that you betray God. You find out that you betrayed Christ. Let's go through it. It says, and when he had given things, he break it. He break it. Who? Christ. And said, take, learn. This is my body. This is my body, which is broken for you. Do this in remembrance of me. Are you with me? Let's see how shady we get. Give thanks. Let's make sure we getting ready to run this one. We getting ready to run this one. We're going to go to Luke chapter 22. Pick this up at verse 19. We got to go to 19. It says, and he took bread and gave thanks and brake it and gave it to them, saying, this is my body, which is given for you. To do this in remembrance of me. You see, we just making all this clear. Just making it clear, making it clear, making it clear. But the bread is the knowledge. How do we know? How do we know? Because we get ready to find out. I'm going to make sure we cannot get around this nowhere. Nowhere. We're going to go to Exodus chapter 16, because this is what he was trying to give you the silhouette picture of, to make sure you understood it. In Exodus chapter 16, in verse 4. And the Spirit of God said to Moses, but what did he say? He said, then said the Spirit of God unto Moses, he says, remember. Remember what? Remember, I rain bread from heaven for you. That's the end of that thought. The end of the thought. And the people should go out and gather a certain rate every day. He ain't saying you going to be knocked down knowing everything right then. He said every day you're going to get a certain rate. Every day. That I may test them. That I may test them. I may prove them. Whether they will walk in my law or no. This is his body. It's what it did. But he gets on a little bit better. It gets a little bit better. Because we did something that we don't want to fess up to. And we all done it. But we quick to point fingers at everyone else but ourselves. In John chapter 6, verse 31. Why? Because this is a witness against us. It says, our fathers did eat manna in the desert. The silhouette picture, as God said, he's going to rain this knowledge down to see, are we going to follow what he said? I want you to stay with me on this. Compare it as it is written. He gave them bread. He gave them some knowledge. He gave some knowledge. But watch this. From heaven to eat. In salvation said unto them, verily, verily, I say unto you, Moses gave you not the bread from heaven. Let me just move on. It says, but my Father giveth you the true bread from heaven. That's that knowledge. He didn't give you true bread from heaven. But what's still the key is, what did we do? What did we do? See, that's what we got to find out. So we have knowledge and giving us bread, and it's coming down from heaven. This knowledge was broken up and given to us to learn for remembrance of the word of God, which is Christ. But it gets better than this. It gets better than this. I want to see what did we do. I want to see what we did. So with this same knowledge he given us, what did we do with it? After the same manner, also the cup, because he took, it's actually not there, but he took the cup, but it's just in also the cup, the body, and he supped. Really? And he supped. Really? And what did he say? What did he say? This cup, this body, this life you see me doing is the testament of my life. Compare it off as ye drink it in remembrance of me. Do we do it? See, the key is, do we do this? Do that. Let's see, because I'm not going to let none of us slip away from here. Me, anybody. None of us getting away from this. We're going to go to 1 Peter chapter 2. We're going to pick it up at verse 21. Ain't none of us getting away with this. All of us, we all on this boat together. We in this little crab bucket together. 2:21. He told us what? He say, this is his life. This is my life. So same as Peter said, so hereunto ye are called, because Christ also suffered for us, leaving us an example that we should follow in his steps. That testament. Did we follow it? Did we follow it? This taking communion. Don't forget we doing communion. I can tell you some horror stories when me and my brother, I got to throw them in the bus too. Cause me and my brother, that's my older brother, but me and him, hey, we done did some things at communion. We done did some things at communion. But we did this in remembrance of what? Let's get a little bit more. Let's go a little bit more. Let's go down to John chapter 14. We're going to pick it up at verse 11. Why? Because I'm making sure we can't get out of this. Nowhere. And we're going to look at something. We want to look at something. It says, believe me that I am in the Father and the Father in me, or else believe me for the very work's sake. Believe that Yahushua was in the Father by the works that he did. Following the life of Yahushua is the model that we should be having over here, following his footsteps. So this is the communion, because communion don't mean anything other than fellowship. In the relationship and sharing the same belief. Oh, belief then showed up again. And having the same common experience. Oh, that then showed up. Experiencing what? Of salvation. Really? So what is your faith? See, this is the problem that we have. Let's get a little bit more out of here. We might well go on and just unload the whole thing. Let's go down to 1 Corinthians chapter 10. We're going to pick it up at verse 16. And he says this. Paul breaks this down. He says, the cup of the blessing which he blessed, which that knowledge is, it is not the communion of the blood of Christ, the life of Christ. Is it not? You question mark? Is it not that the bread which we break is not the communion of the body of Christ? Are you serious? For we be many are one bread in one body. For we are all partakers of that one bread. We should all be partakers of this same fellowship. Showing that our fellowship might be in many pieces, but one understanding. How are we going to have the same understanding in as many different doctrines out there? They're doing it in different ways. Can't answer it, can we? No, because guess what? For we be many are one bread. No matter what, that one bread, Share that same knowledge. So you're called to the fellowship of Christ. You're called to the fellowship of Christ. So it's telling us what? It's telling us what? We all around here in 1 Corinthians right now, huh? So we could go back. Actually, we're going to tell you what. Let's go. Let's do something. Let's do something. Let's go to first. We in the same one. So let's go to 1 Corinthians. Picking it up at chapter 1, we're going to go to verse 9. And we want to see something. It says, God is faithful, by whom ye are called unto the fellowship, unto the communion of his servant, salvation, anointed one, or creator. Really interesting, isn't it? So what are we doing? He already said this right up front. But let's look at something. Let's drop down to verse 26. Let's look at verse 26. And he says this, for as oft as ye learn of this knowledge and live of this cup, this body, ye do show the Creator's death till he comes. But do we do it? Do we do it? That's the key. Do we do it? Everybody's quick to, I got to go take communion. Really? Really? we getting ready to get hot and heavy on some things right now. But we getting ready to find out some things. Let's go to Uncle Idris. Let's go to Uncle Idris. Uncle Idris, he'll give it to us and won't sugarcoat it. He never sugarcoats anything. We're gonna go to Uncle Idris. We're gonna go to the second chapter. We're gonna look at the second book. We're gonna look at the 8th chapter. We're gonna go to verse 12. We're gonna go to verse 12, and it says this. And it says this. It says, "Thou broughtest it up with thy righteousness, and nourishest it in thy law, and reformest it with thy doctrines and teachings." What? That bread. He nourished it with the blood, with the life. Tell me you don't do it. He's doing this. So when we do these things, we have to follow certain things. When we do certain things, we have to make sure we follow in Christ. But do we follow Christ? This is the key. Are we following Christ? Meaning this. Let's look at something and we're going to check this out. We want to make sure we dead on what we need to be doing. It says, and thou shalt mortify. Mortify, meaning you're going to kill something. It as thy creature, and quickeneth it as thy work. So you should be doing something, what? So if you sitting there and you doing something according to the body, and it's saying you got to mortify that as a creature, I'm going to tell you what. I've told you, we're not getting out of nothing today. Because we truly don't want to look at things for what they are. So we're going to go to Romans chapter 8. We're going to pick it up at verse 3. Why? Because he actually talks about the same thing. He talks, actually we're going to want 3. Let me go to verse 8. 13. Let's go to 13. It says, for if ye live after the flesh, ye shall die. That creature. But if ye through the Spirit do mortify the deeds, the works of the body, you'll live. I'm just pausing for effect. That's it. We just having a conversation based on communion. And finding out we ain't coming up, we ain't adding up too good. We missing the mark. We are missing the mark. Because we not mortifying the creature. Meaning what? Those members. Meaning what? The body, the works of the flesh. We missing the mark. Meaning this. Meaning this. He got to, told you, Uncle Idris, he'll drop it down for us. If for that reason thou shalt destroy him which with so great labor was fashioned, it is an easy thing to be ordained by the commandment, that the thing that which was made might be preserved. For that reason alone, if we destroy that creature, that works of the flesh, that we may be easily ordained by the commandments which was made to be preserved. Meaning, what's going to be preserved? Your spirit. So we must kill that other thing, the works of the flesh. We got to kill that. We got to get rid of it. We got to get rid of it. Actually, let's dig a little bit more. Let's go a little bit deeper on this and get a little bit more on this. We're gonna go a little bit deeper on this. Let's go to Colossians chapter 3. We're gonna pick it up at verse 5. It says, mortify. Again, for mortify, keep showing up. Mortify, therefore, your members. This flesh. Kill it. Stop doing the works of the flesh. Your members which are upon the earth. Fornication, because if you don't kill that flesh and starve it, you're gonna do some fornication. You're gonna do some uncleanness, inordinate, affections, evil concupiscence. See, and most people want to find out exactly concupiscence. I always say, so I just say concubines, because the other one's kind of twisted over my mouth. But what that actually is, most people want to know what that actually, technically, Bible says when it says that. That's a strong desire of lust. That's what concubines is. Having a strong desire of lust and covetousness. All this, which is idolatry. All of it is idolatry. We don't mortify this flesh. Stop the works of it. We're going to do something that's tied to idolatry. Because we're going to worship something that we shouldn't be worshiping. We're going to want to go after something that we shouldn't be going after. But he ain't done yet. Paul's still tearing this down. Let's go down to verse 27. And it says, wherefore, whosoever, I can care less who it is, your mama, your daddy, your wife, your brother, your husband, your kids, whosoever shall learn of this knowledge, and saying they living of this body of the Creator, and you doing it unworthily, and you doing this unworthily, shall be guilty of the body and the life of the Creator. Now we get the picture. Whosoever doing it will be guilty of it. You putting yourself in a trick bag. People sit there, oh no, well, I don't do it. I don't really do this. Yeah, you putting yourself in a trick bag. You fooling you, but you're not fooling God. You fooling you, but you're not fooling God. So he says something, which goes right back to what we're doing. He says something. He says, but let a man, M-A-N, so it's man or woman, examine yourself. Stop trying to examine everybody else. Examine yourself. And so let him learn of that knowledge. You learn of this knowledge in live with this cup. You're going to live with this body. Because most people are going to do it unworthily. So we need to do same way they do this COVID testing, this pregnancy testing, and all these things. We need to do a test ourselves. We're going to take out a testing kit, and we're going to find out how positive we're going to come out. We're going to come out positive or negative. Positive or negative. Because, see, we got a lot of people still going to be in here not believing that they don't need to do a self-check. So let's check something. Let's get this self-test out. Let's check this out. We're going to go to a couple of places. We're going to go to Psalms 89. We're going to do a self-check. 89, we're going to pick it up at verse 34. Verse 34, it says this. Christ says this. Actually, all I need is this part. I don't know why I was grabbing all that. But Christ says this. He says, my covenant, with all he made with us, will I not break. He's not going to break anything. He's saying something else. He adds nor alter the thing that is going out of my lips. So when he's talking about alter, meaning he's not going to change anything that he stated nowhere in the Bible. It never changed. Understand what he's saying here. Whatever he said, he's not changing it. This is what he's saying. Who? Christ. But he goes better. You hold that one, because we pulling out see, this is the needle, which we're going to inject in there. This is the truth serum. We're going to find out what's happening. I want to find out something. We're going to go to Numbers chapter 23, picking it up at verse 19. We know this, which a lot of people don't, but this is the truth. It's saying God is not a man, period. God is not a man that he should lie. But people will tell you he came 100% man, 100% God. They lying. You hear a lot of people say it, they're straight lie. If your mama told you that, she lied. Your daddy told you that, he lied. If you believe that, you lied. God is not a man. Not 100% man, not 100% God. He's God. That he should lie, because that's what men do. And people putting God in a man's suit and saying that he came in flesh and became flesh, and they sitting there, they lying on God. Neither the Son of Man, again, they lied again, because they sit there and say that Christ is the son of Mary. Lied again. Lied again. That he should repent. Hath he said, and shall not he do it? Or hath he spoken, and shall not make it good? Man don't. God does. See, because one thing about this, I want you to keep this in mind as we go. See, because as I said, God is 100% spirit. Don't have nothing to do with flesh. But the problem is, they say he was 100% God, 100% man. The Bible tells you God is a spirit, period. And he clarifies it. And they that worship him must worship him in spirit and in truth, but they worship a man. But I want you to keep these, because we got to inject this serum in him in 1 second. We got to inject it in here. So as you laying down on the gurney, we got to look at something. So we get ready to inject this in here in us to where we can find out what's going on with us. So we're going to go to 1 Peter chapter 1. We're going to pick it up at verse 13. He says, wherefore gird up your loins in your mind and and be sober. In your mind, be sober. So I want you to lay down on this gurney and hope at the end of the grace that is to be brought unto you, that is the revelation, the salvation anointed one. So we want to make sure this is the right thing we getting in us. Because it's going to tell us the truth. It's going to tell you the truth. Some people are going to lie to themselves. I promise you that. Some people are going to lie to themselves no matter what. But let's see why we're on this gurney. As obedient children, not fashion themselves according to the former lusts in your ignorance. You see, he's blunt. Because some of them going to be ignorant. Let him be ignorant still. Not fashion ourselves in the works of the flesh, but lusts that we're doing through our ignorance. Said something, but he said a little bit more. Got a little bit more. It says, but comparing he which have called you is holy. We got a problem. Holy. So be holy in all manner of conversation. So while we laying on the gurney, we need to check something. Because this is what the problem is. This is where the problem is. He said, because it is written, be ye holy, for I am holy. So I got a question. But a man examine yourself and you done got this knowledge and you done took this communion, you done took the bread and you done took the wine as a symbolic symbol that you understand what he did and why he did it, and you going to follow in his steps. That's what you saying you do. You saying you know it. I got a question. I got a question. This is the question of questions. Let's do a simple sermon. See, now we got all these things injected in us. We got each one of those shots. We got 3 little shots put in us. So I got a question to where we can examine this now. And we know God never altered nothing. Nothing. So if we never altered nothing, we need to know something. Only a man is a liar, not God. So we're going to see something. This is the question of questions. We're going to go here. And if God never changed nothing, if God never changed absolutely nothing at all, and we see Christ talking, let me ask you a question. This is the question of question. Nevertheless, these shall ye not eat of them that chew the cud, or that divided the hoof. This is a simple test. This is a simple test. Meaning what? Don't eat as like the camel. Do eat camel. I never ate camel. I ate camel. But he had to put that in there because some people eat camel. Because it's divided, he chews the cud, but divided not of the hoof. He's unclean to you. So we can't eat that. We can't eat that. And the coney kind of look like a rabbit. Can't eat him because he chewed the cud, but divided not of the hoof. It's interesting, isn't it? Interesting, isn't it? This is unclean to us. So Christ, as we consume in this, he's telling you a coney, a hare, we can't eat swine. As you go down, he'll tell you, get down to 7 and say, the swine divided a hoof. And be clothed for yet cheweth not the cud. he is unclean to you. So we know these things. So now we know you can't eat these certain things. And then when you go to waters, you cannot eat the things that is in the waters that don't have no fin, no scales. So same thing like people eat catfish. Catfish is unclean to God. Shrimp, for you to consume and put into your body, into the temple of God, that is unclean to him. Lobster, squid, duck, shark, whale, and such like. So the anointed for salvation has never lied about what he said, that he never changed. But he separated himself because that's what holy means. So if we know he didn't change, and people say, well, that's the Old Testament. That's the Old Testament. But he said this. He made sure these things are clear. In Hebrews chapter 13, in verse 8. Salvation, anointed one, the same yesterday and today and forever. He's the same. So if he's the same and we're consuming these things and man said is clean, who lied? God said he's not a man, that he should lie. But who told you that? A man told you that. He lied. He said he ain't even from the Son of Man. Somebody lied. But let's go over here to 44. See, did he say the same thing? Let's see, did he say the same thing? What Peter had said. So he says, for I am the Spirit of your God. Ye should, for that reason, separate yourselves. And ye should be holy. Did not Peter say this? Be holy. Why? For I am holy. Neither shall you defile yourself with any matter of creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. Interesting, isn't it? See, when we look at it, when it's in its full understanding, only one changed it is man. But he said, yeah, I'm not a man that I'm a lie. But they sit there and people lie to you and tell you he's 100% man, he's 100% God. And he said, I'm not a man. But what we have done, we have to examine ourselves and who did we end up believing. We still believe most men. They say, he knows this, he knows that. You believe a man. So when we hold on to men ideologies, we rightfully so should go to hell. Because what he told you, you believed him more than you believed God. The Bible tells us this. The Bible tells us this, and he makes sure this is clear. He tells us this, and he makes this perfectly clear. In Romans chapter 9, picking up at verse 6, he says this. Not as though the word of God has taken none effect. Period. Full stop. Because everybody, just because you got the word, it is taking none effect. Because a lot of people, it's not going to affect them. They're going to believe and hold on to what they want to hold on to no matter what. I care less what we say, what we do, whatever. They're going to hold on to what they believe every time. 100%. I don't care what you say. They're going to believe it. They're going to sit there and people can tell you that they will go into a church building time again. Why? Because they believe no matter what, that's what we got to do it. It's okay to do it. It takes to the end. When they sit there and they get that depart from me is when they're going to understand it. You can't change it at that point because you're going to go to that other place. It's no point you can change this. Because you didn't take on what that said there. You didn't take on this word. You took on what some man said, and he said, I'm not a man that I should lie to you. However, you let a man lie to you. People get down and they sit there, they say, man, you hard on a Christian preacher. I can't stand them. Why? Because they lie to a lot of them is God people. Some of them ain't God people, but they lie to God's people. Enemy of God, they're enemy of mine. People sit there thinking, oh no, you shouldn't, can't stand them. Camps, can't stand them. They're enemy of God's, enemy of mine. Why? They teach you lies. Lies upon lies upon lies. And they want you to believe what they say. So that's why the word of God don't take effect on everybody. But they are not all Israel, which are of Israel. Just because you are of Israel, don't make you Israel. These has taken the knowledge and understood the doctrine and continue to consume unclean flesh. Tell me they don't do it. You got a church, they closed now, but they got a church every year. They'll have all kind of unclean things they'll do on New Year's. Why would someone want to crawl up in that place and he didn't change? If they doing that unclean, do you know everything that they're going to do is unclean? They're going to justify whatever they can justify to make sure they're right. It goes from the top all the way down. Makes everybody a fool. Because you're fooling yourself. So he tells you this. He tells you this in verse 29. He says, for he that eateth and drinketh unworthily, eateth and drinketh damnation. You willfully doing something that's going to give you damnation. You're not getting around it. Not discerning the Creator's body. You got some man lying to you willfully, and we'll sit there with it. And just because if we grew up in it, we've been over it, my husband runs this place, I'm going to stay with it. You rightfully so should go to hell. You rightfully so should go to hell. It's telling you. It's right up here. So when you examine yourself, you can sit there and say whatever you want. The Bible says this. The Bible says this. And the only thing really you have to enlarge itself, hell. Hell enlarged itself. To make sure we are getting in to a lot of problems. Let's look at something. Let's go to 1 Timothy. Pick it up in chapter 6. Verse 6. We're going to start at verse 3. Verse 3. Why? Because I want you to look at this. It says, if providing any man teach otherwise, telling you, you can now eat this. You can now eat that. All you got to do is bless this. All you got to do is bless that. Are you with me? And he already told you with that sermon that we just got up on the gurney, and he says, I'm not going to alter nothing that is going out of my lips. I'm the same yesterday, I'm the same today, I'm going to be the same forever. If it's unclean, it's unclean for you to consume it. Was it made good for what it was made for? 100%. 100%. But can you consume it? No. So if another man teach otherwise, and consent not to the wholesome words which you just got, what it's telling you over here, for I am the Spirit of your God, ye therefore sanctify yourselves, and ye should be holy, for I am holy. So neither shall ye defile yourselves with any manner of creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. And now he's telling you you can do this. And he's telling you now you can consume this. You got some say, well, he came and he fulfilled the law. Now we can do whatever we want. You think you all that in a bag of chips? Are you serious? Even unto our words, Creator's salvation, the anointed one, in the doctrine which is according to godliness, on what you need to be doing. I want you to see something. I want you to see something. I want you to really pay attention to what's going down here. Actually, I just want to make sure we're going to do pieces of this. He is proud. I can take you to many, many preachers, and they'll feel that all the way through. They're proud. They're proud. They walk around, chest stuck out. They know everything. As soon as you ask them something about the Bible, well, when the Lord ready for you to see it, he'll show it to you. Why? Why he did that? He's proud, but he's knowing nothing. He don't know nothing in the Bible because he don't get your question. He know you don't know where it is. And it's saying, but dotting about questions and strife of words. But this dotting, the dotting, just this alone, scripturally, is slack in understanding and just foolish when someone asks him a question. That's what that is. Slack in understanding, dotting, slack in understanding. This is the thing. Wherefore cometh envy, strife, railing, evil submerging. Why? Submerging. Why is Paul putting this stuff here? Because he clearly wants you to understand the mindset of these people. Submerging, trying to strong arm you any way possible. That's why it says evil submerging. They're going to strong arm. When you leave this church, you're going to hell. I got a dumb guy. He dumb as a box of rocks. He called himself an elder at a church. And dumb as a box of rocks. He told a kid that grew up in this church, and he wasn't coming. He'd come every now and then. He said, well, I'll tell you what, we're going to stop praying for you. He actually was doing the kid a favor. We're going to stop praying for you. But he hurt the kid's feelings because he was not coming. Not saying, hey, man, is everything okay? I haven't seen you in a while. No, he didn't do that. No, we're going to stop praying for you. He's a fool. He's in his 80s now. And he's a fool then, he's a fool today. He was trying to strong arm this kid. See, there ain't no other way to put this. But people have a problem when you speak in truth, because the truth cuts. The truth hits you right in the face, where it's hitting all of us. Because many of us has taken on this knowledge and all this stuff and calling ourselves, trying to attach our shadiness to the body of the Lord. But he gets on better. It's saying this, because if it's talking about these men, it's saying perverse, disputing men of corrupt minds. Corrupt minds. Tell me they're not corrupt. Corrupt minds. This is what we do this, and we do it like it's nothing. That's why I sit there and say, you have Christians They dumb as a box of rocks. Camps is just a little bit more stupider than them. All they do is put the label of Israel on top of it, but they Christians all the way through. They just put the label of Israel on top. This is all they do. Perverse disputings of men of corrupt minds. Why? And destitute of the truth. It's impossible for them to have the truth. Who? They're proud men. In meaning what? Supposing that gain is godliness. I don't even have to name no preachers. You already know the ones who do this. I don't got to name because it's too many. When you sexual them out, you really being unfair to them in a way, and I was doing the same thing. I was being unfair to the few that I was pointing out, because you got millions of them that do this. Gain is godliness to them. But he tells you something when he sums it all up, because he clarified it right here, and he summed it all up. He says, from such men that are like that, withdraw they further. Get the hell away from them. But guess what? We don't do that. We stay with the body. So you trusting in that man. So that's why I say, so rightfully so, you go to hell. Rightfully so. You tied to something that is not the truth. But then when you get there and you stand before the Creator, and you're going to sit there and truly believe you're going to walk in there with this luggage, you're going to get turned around. But he says more over here. Let's look at verse 30. And it says, for this cause many are weak and sickly among you, and many sleep. Exactly the point. Exactly the point. Weak and many still sleep because they have positions in the church. You got camps, and I'm truly trying to find out right now, because they got camps. They have a 12-step program, and I'm trying to get a hold to it because I want to tear that doctrine to pieces. And I'm trying to get a hold to their 12-step program, so I can rip into it. Because this is the lie they teach. And they keep people asleep. From the truth. But it says more. It says, for if we judge ourselves, we shall not be judged. So if you judge yourself, is what I'm trying to get us to do. Examine ourselves. So when we get there, we already corrected. We did a self-correction. Stop doing these things, and at the time of judgment, you ain't got to be judged. This is clear as day, tell you. Then we won't be judged. Making sure we not sitting under stupid, unadulterated, crazy doctrines. The same one I'm talking about. He said that the main one who created that silly church sat there and they said one time, this man, the main one, he preached a drunk man sober. Now, they never tell you the man's name that he preached sober. All they got to do is you ask that and that shut it down, because I asked them, what's the man's name who they preached sober? Well, I don't know who the man was. Okay, wait a minute. That's the one y'all go around using as a testimony, but you don't know the man's name? You don't know the man's name that he preached sober? No. Okay. Evidently that was a lie. Evidently that was a lie. They used things like that to make people think that they were doing something that was right. They used that as a lie. But it gets better than that. Verse 32. It says, but when we are judged, we are chastened of the Creator. Tell me that ain't true. But when we are judged, we are chastened, that we should not be condemned with the world. Are you with me? I'm going to tell you, love hurts. I'm telling you, I ain't going to pull into some of them, but I can tell you, boy, when me and my brother now, we went in the store, we going to cut the monkey on our mama, thinking we going to get away. And our mama laid some love on us right there in the store. In the store. Then it's going to shut up. And we got our mouth shut and snot coming all out our nose. And what's so crazy about it, you got people coming up and telling us, they seen what happened. They telling us, y'all be good now. Y'all be good now. Grown people. We in line still. People say, y'all be good. Ain't nobody talking about we need to call whoever the place is that where they gonna, trying to count people to take the kids. No, y'all be good now. Next time y'all be good kids. Now, we thinking gain is godliness. We thinking being chastened. That's why a lot of us is going to go to hell. That's why a lot of us going to go to hell. And seeing the main thing is, if my mother wouldn't have, well, me and my brother got a lot of whoopings, but if we wouldn't have got those whoopings, where would we be today? Where would we be today? Love her just the same and just as much, but I'm gonna tell you, she done laid a whole lot of loving on us that we thought was hatred. But she was beating that. I'm telling you, it seemed like she was trying to beat that devil out of us, because it was in us, but she sure was beating him out of us. And she made sure she got it out of us the best way she could, and that it went from belts to switches to telephones to shoes, whatever it took to get that devil up out of you, what she laid on us. And that was clear. But the same thing is, she didn't want us to be condemned with the world. How everybody else was being condemned, she didn't want us to get tied up into that. And what you got to look at is this. Take this away with you. You go back, you read Job. Job got chastened by the Most High for 4 chapters. 4 chapters. The Most High is just in Job's butt for 4 chapters. His chastening is for our good, that we not be condemned with the world. But it comes with this. It comes with this. It says this. Wherefore, my brethren, come when ye come together to eat, ye come together to learn, tarry one to another. He's making something really clear here. He's saying this alone. For that reason alone, when you come together, don't come speaking everybody saved. Don't come speaking everybody saved. Oh, everybody say, you and the Lord, you, everybody say. No. Don't do that. You go to those places, you learning that wrong is good and right and good is wrong. Not going to the church, and the church is saying that the Lord is in that place, which is making no sense. Because he tells you something that's clear. He tells you something that is clear. Meaning this. Let's look at this all together. Let's go to Hebrews. Let's go to Hebrews. And let's see something. Let's see something. Hebrews, we're going to look at chapter 10. Picking it up at verse 25. We're going to pick it up at verse 25. This is something that Christians love to use. They love to use this. It says, not forsaking assembling of ourselves together, as the manner of some is, but exhorting. What is that? But exhorting, but encouraging. We need to encourage one another, not coming together in that way, but exhorting one another, as in much more as ye see the day approaching. Exhorting, encourage one another. Why? Because it tells you over here in verse 34. In verse 34, what is it? If any man hunger, let him eat, let him learn at home. But watch this, that ye come not together unto condemnation. Clear. Once saved, always saved. Came together unto condemnation. Came together unto condemnation. Why? Because they want you to eat those unclean foods. Come together because why? Because they want that money. Come together calling, hey, we need some tithes and some offerings. Sacrificing silliness together. This is what they do. So that's why they want you to come together, because they need something from you. But he said, but you encourage one another. Don't come together unto condemnation. This is the thing. But men want you to assemble together seeking other things. Seeking other things. So just as I said from the beginning, don't ever be sitting there talking about what your heart is. Well, God knows my heart. God knows my heart. So don't be sitting there. That's the part of the problem. That's the problem why that should never even come out of our mouth. Jeremiah chapter 17, we're going to pick it up at verse 9. And it says this, the heart is deceitful above all things. It's at the top of the food chain. It's at the top of the food chain by the hearts. It is deceitful above everything. It's a legend of its own. But he tells you this. Why? Because when he look on it, I'm going to show you when he looks on your heart. When he looks over on the heart, I'm going to show you what he sees. We're going to go to Genesis chapter 6. Pick it up at verse 5. It says, and God saw, what did he do? That the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and every imagination of the thought of his heart was only evil continually. It was at the top of, it's at the top of the charts. It's at the top of the charts. You see what I'm saying? So when we sitting there saying, God know my heart, okay, he know what it is. He's going to tell you, he's telling you right here, but watch this, verse 10. It says, for the Spirit of God searcheth the heart and try the reins. That's what he does. Even to give every man according to his ways and according to the fruit of his doings. So whatever you did that was jacked up, he going to make sure you get it. You searching the illegitimate goal, he going to make sure you get that reward for that illegitimate goal. Look at it this way. He put his word in the dirt, which we are. We're the dust. So it's the same thing as when he put that word in somewhere good. It's the same as you sitting there. When they go look for gold, what do they have to do? They have to dig deep inside the earth and look for it. The same if they looking for a diamond. They have to dig deep in the earth and look for it. The same as God put his word. He has to go deep into your heart to see what's in there. To see, is it gold in there? See, is it diamonds in there? Don't trip this up. He showed you that. You don't walk down the street and just see gold laying on top of the ground. Diamond's not just laying on the ground. You got to go in the ground. The same as if you want that diamond, you got to be deep in there. But people like to play these self-delusional things. We like to be delusional about a lot of things. Where the gains is where they want to do everything up on the earth. Where the bigger gains is. I gained the area. Same thing. It was a man, it's a story that I heard some years back. Now, I don't know if it's true or if it's false. I really don't know. But I heard the story, and it was told to me. They had a man, he was a very wealthy guy. He was a butthole, from what they say. However, when he was on his dying bed, he gonna tell his wife, I'm getting ready to die, but what I want you to do is go take all my money out of the bank and put it in my casket. Now, crazy thing, she's living, but he want all the money to go with him because he earned it. I want you to understand the character of this guy with this great wealth. He's had everything. We wasn't living on nothing. You gonna put it all in the casket. So this wife, when he did die, she wrote him a check. She wrote him a check, put it in the casket for the exact amount that was in the bank. The problem is, he got to cash the check. How you gonna cash a check in the ground? Was all the money there? She wrote the check. His butt just couldn't cash it. But something that people have a problem with. Some things people have a problem with. Let's look at this. Because some people is delusional in that way. Because they think because they're wealthy, they can do certain things. You can't do no wrong. So in Psalms chapter 49, let's look at this, because we get delusional. Because we don't check ourselves. We don't check ourselves. And it tells you this in verse 16. It tells us this in verse 16. It says, be not thou afraid when the one is made rich, when the glory of his house is increased. Don't be afraid of him. But what do we do? What do we do? We want to give reverence and respect in what that is, because that's all afraid means. You want to give reverence and respect to someone. As soon as they come in money, all of a sudden, they got this newfound wealth. All of a sudden, you got to respect this person. You had little dumb Wayne literally cussing out this girl he was interviewing with. And she continually kept that respect there. Because he talking about he rich. Called her every name in the book. We got dumb Trump. People believe he's rich. Beyond means. And they respect him beyond means. And he dumb as a box of rocks. He got inherited wealth. And he dumb as a box of rocks. But people hold a high respect for that man. Don't be afraid of one made rich when the glory of his house is increased. They seek for you to bow down to them. These people, they'll sit there, became newfound actors or whatever, making all this money. All of a sudden, you want to hear what they got to say. Like they making some sense. They still dumb. Nothing changed. They still stupid. Just like my mama, she hear Trump voice and she says she can't hardly keep him on TV. She turns it, which I don't blame her, because he sounds stupid. we find these people, as soon as they come with this newfound wealth, all of a sudden, we hold them at these high regards. But it gets better. Verse 17, he says this. It says, for when he dieth, he should carry nothing away. His glory shall not descend after him. Descend means it's going down in the ground. You see it don't say ascend. It says descend. Descend means he's on the ground. Now he's going to go deeper into the ground. It didn't say ascend nowhere, do it. Letting you know, flesh ain't ascending nowhere. Flesh is going to descend. You can look at it any kind of way you want to. Well, I can look at it now. We look up, I see Mama Mabley's up there right now. No, going to descend. Your glory is going to descend. Whatever it was, it's going to descend. But when you die, you ain't carrying nothing with you. But it gets better. Verse 18. And while he lived, he blessed his soul. He blessed his soul. He blessed his soul. And men will praise thee when thou doest well to thyself. That's what we do this like clockwork, because we not checking ourselves. We sitting there like, if somebody doing bad, we check them. They doing good, we reverence them. Kissing their butt. You can't tell me we don't do it, because we do it. I just didn't fall off a banana boat. This is things we do. Things we do. We see people, when they doing this well, they want to do the things as them. They look up to them. And then and the same thing. You see these dudes, you see people. I used to belong to one church when I moved up here in the Inland Empire. And the guy used to drive around, and he actually was on Preachers of L.A. He was actually one of the members. And I remember when he started, only had 3 people. And he became really big. And this same guy, he used to drive around in an 87, a Burgundy, 87 Toyota Corolla. Literally. Busted up. And through his orations and his services and everything else, he became very wealthy. People reverence him like crazy. But the thing is this. People see people do good based on what they have achieved, and you give reverence to them based on their money. So they lie to you, meaning this. I'm going to show you one of the biggest lies they teach in the Bible. And to show you more so, even about people talking about that they read, they speak paleo, they do all this silliness. I'm going to show you the lie. I'm going to show you the lie. Because they would have known this, it's automatic. Because they tell you this. And actually, I'm just going to circle that one. I'm just going to do that one. But let's read it, then we're going to get into it. It says, for that reason, when thou doest thy arms, do not sound a trumpet before thee, as the hypocrites do in the synagogues and in the streets, that they may have glory of men. Verily I say unto you, they have their reward. Yeah, they already got it already. But this is the problem. They're going to tell you, every camp, every church is going to tell you arms is 100% money. And that's a lie. Why do it say that? Because he's saying, doeth, which is tells you clear, doeth arm. If it was money, it would say, when thou givest thy arms. That's what it should have said. But it said, when thou doeth thy arms. So what is it saying? saying, when thou doest thy good deeds. When thou doest thy good deeds, do not sound the trumpet before thee. That's all he was saying. If the other way around, would have had to say, therefore, when thou givest thy alms, when thou givest thy money. But he don't say that. Money can't do it. Good deeds do it. Money is a giveth thing. But they lie to you about this doctrine. They lie to you about what stuff is, because their main objective is to get your money. So they just change that to money. And alms don't mean nothing but good deeds. That's it. When thou doest thy good deeds, do not sound a trumpet before thee, as the hypocrites do. What? You got a guy who said they gave one church $1 million, and he sounded his trumpet. He got his reward right there when he did it. He got his reward right when he did it. But it says, when thou givest thy alms, you don't see it. Because it says, when thou doest thy good deeds, don't sound the trumpet. But you do this in these buildings. You do it in the buildings. Because what we do, we sit there and we see somebody giving big money, and all of a sudden we pump down. And we think I'd like to be like him. Why? Because we want to see glory of man. We believe in the glory of man. We believe that the glory of man ain't even having him as a God, which makes no sense. Again, it's no common sense. See, you have some things that's set in place to where we see the silhouette pictures of them. Actually, let's look at one. I want to show you one. And I'm going to show you a silhouette picture. I want to show you the picture of this. Show you the picture of this. Judges chapter 9. We're going to look at this. We're going to look at this. You just decided to run this one, but it makes a lot of sense on where I'm going. It's going to make a lot of sense for you. Okay. It says the trees. Just count yourself as the trees. The trees went forth on a time to anoint a king over them. They needed a ruler over them. They wanted somebody over them. And they said unto the olive tree, hey, olive tree, hey, dude, you looking good. You got big money. Big money off. That's what we can call it. Big money off. Reign over us. That's what we're going to do. Why? Because he got big money. He got a lot of olives. He got a lot of olives on his tree. But the olive tree got something to say too. He's making something clear to you. But the olive tree said unto them, should I leave my fatness? Should I leave this? Wherefore by which they, us, which we honor God and man? Wait a minute. We honoring this man who we're going to say 100% God and this man who you're going to say 100% man? Will y'all honor God and man? You should be honoring God, not man. But we honoring man and God. Y'all missed it. That's okay. Let's move forward. Let's move forward. It says, and go be promoted over y'all, over the trees, over y'all. Are you serious? A olive tree got more common sense than this. But it ain't even done yet. We ain't even done yet. We got to go down to 10. We got to go down to 10. We got to go to 10. And it says, and the tree said to the fig tree, olive tree didn't buy it. So we're going to go to the fig tree. Come on. Hey, Elder Jenkins, let's go to the fig tree. Let's go over to the fig tree. And my brother D, I just called him D. Hey, D, let's go to the fig tree. Okay, let's go to the fig tree. Okay. Now we go to the fig tree and we tell the fig tree, come thou, reign over us. Fig tree had to respond. Fig tree said unto them, should I forsake my sweetness? I'm telling you, This is what we do. Should I forsake my sweetness and my good fruit to go to be promoted over y'all? They got common sense. But guess what? Fools can't stop, won't stop. Fools can't stop, won't stop. Watch, they got to keep going. I'm telling you, this is what we do. Then said the trees unto the vine. We go everywhere. Every time. The vine is on a concert tour. The vine is on a concert tour. Well, guess what we do? My brother, he was good about it. He'll put me up to stuff, and he would always do that, and I get in more trouble. Well, we both get the butt whooping, but he used to always put me up to it. So I'll put it this way: he put me up to it on this one. He said, "Go talk to the vine. Go tell the vine to do it." So okay, and my thing is okay. And he'll call me baby when we were a little bitty kid. When he wanted to get me to do it, hey baby, come do that. Okay. And that was my thing. Okay. Whatever it was, okay. I want to, whatever my big brother said, okay. I just did it. So he didn't talk me into this one. Then said the trees to the vine. So we done went over there. He's standing there letting me put in the lie. Come reign over us. And again, the vine gonna break us off. The dang vine breaks us off. The vine said unto them, should I leave my wine, which cheereth God and man, and go be promoted over y'all? Are you serious? Are you serious? This is the problem. This is the problem. We do these things and we do them like clockwork. Cause we got to have somebody over us. But one thing they understood that we didn't understand, that we don't understand today. In Luke chapter 16, verse 13, it's already broken down. No man, no servant can serve two masters. It's impossible. It's impossible. That's an impossible thing to do. That's an impossible thing to do. Are you with me on this? This is why it's so important to understand where we're coming from. So when we look at this, I want to set something up real quick. I want to put it back over there. I want to do something real quick because I'm going to put that. I'm going to put something there. We're going to go back to 49 because I'm going to come back to that. So that's why I just want to put that up there so I won't get that mixed up. So the same thing is with this here. No man can serve two masters. That's impossible. Either he's going to hate one and he's going to love the other, or else he's going to hold the one and he's going to despise the other. This is clear. So either you're going to hold to the man or you're going to hold to God. But when you look over here, where I want to take you, I want to look over here at verse 19. He shall go to the generation of his fathers. They should never see light. Never going to see it. Because we checking ourselves, but we always find ourselves righteous. We always find ourselves right. Everybody else is wrong. But we'll worship sticks and stones and birds and paintings. We can see our stuff. Verse 20 even tells us a little bit more. Man that is in honor and understandeth not is like the beasts that perish. You're no different than an animal. You're no different than an animal. One thing is the same with no understanding is compared to a beast. So their children will spend their wealth once they make it, and they're going to perish just like an animal. Having that self-delusion, thinking prosperity and wealth, they now have some weird for everlasting life or something. You see many of these people that are extremely wealthy and cannot escape death. You can go back to some of the most wealthiest people that they know just really in America. Your Vanderbilts and all your different people, they could not escape death. You have Michael Jackson. He used to sleep in a bubble. He could not escape death. When that number comes, you will not escape death. But our thing is, we seek and we'll do everything that we can to get all this self-delusion in our head, thinking we done reached some prosperity level. And then we like blow a circuit. And the Bible says this. The Bible speaks on this, and this is why I say this is a self-delusion that we have within ourselves. This is a self-delusion we have within ourselves that we do. We're going to look at Matthew chapter 16. We're going to pick it up at verse 26. And it says this. For what is... Actually, I'm going to make it bigger because I want it all on one page. I want it all on one page. There we go. We got it all on one page. Because I want you to see this. It says, for what is a man profited if he should gain the whole world? He gonna gain the whole world. However, it's a connection. Because if you gain the world, you're gonna lose your own soul. You're gonna take one or you're gonna get the other. One of the two. You're not going to give both. You're not going to be given both. So if you want the world, you lose your soul. That's why he says, so what is it worth to you? Is it billions? Millions? Is it being at the top of the Forbes list? Is it being making sure people coming up to your standard of living? Because they're not loving the things of the world, they're not seeing what's happening. See, because only one thing that's playing around in this world. It's only one thing. Let's look at this. Let's look at something. We're going to go to Job. Let's go to Job. We're going to see something. And I want you to truly think on this. I want you to truly think on this. We're going to go to Job chapter 2, and we're going to look at verse 2. And it says, and the Spirit of God said to Satan. So the Spirit of God is speaking with Satan. He said, from which comest thou? And Satan answered, the Spirit of God has said, from going to and fro in the earth and walking up and down it. He's in this world. And he's walking up and down it. Sin, how can he make you be self-righteous and have a belief system tied to his world? The way that he do things. See, Peter tried to school us on this. Peter warned us on this. Peter did a beautiful job, warned us on this. But did we take heed to it? That's the point. Did we take heed to this? Because in 1 Peter chapter 5, and picking up at verse 8, it says, be sober. Don't be as a drunken person. Be sober. Be vigilant. Because your adversary, the devil, is a roaring lion, walketh about, where? Up and down the earth. He's walking up and down the earth. Seeking how he can put that spirit in you where everybody else is beneath you. Everybody else, you got to check everybody else. Once you get your money, now all of a sudden everybody don't quite add up to your standards of what you think is righteous in your eyes. I'm telling you, this, we do this automatically. All of a sudden we got money. Now everybody don't quite hit the mark. They're beneath you. They need to reverence you. So what would you do if he offered you the world in exchange for your soul? Or what should a man give in exchange for his soul? See, these are things we got to think about. Let's look at something. Let's look at something. We're going to look at Luke. And hopefully this just jogs you to think. Just jogs you to think. We're going to look at Luke chapter 4. We're going to pick it up at verse 5. And we see something that's here. What will you do? Because it says, and the devil, exactly the point. He's your adversary. It's telling you this over here. Be sober. Because the devil is a roaring lion, seeking who he can devour. So the devil was going to sit there and see what you're going to exchange for your soul. Telling you this. He's going to take you up into the high mountain and show unto him all the kingdoms of the world in a moment of time. The whole world in a moment of time. And the devil said unto him, all this power will I give thee. He's making you an offer. In the glory of them. For that it is delivered unto me. And whomsoever I will give it. But he's making a requirement to you. What will you take in exchange for that? That's why he says this. Providing thou therefore worship me, all shall be thine. Will you exchange that? Because now people you can look down on, you can do whatever you want to do now, because the world is yours. The world now becomes yours. You want to be that super rich person? So be it. In exchange for your soul, he'll give it. In exchange for this, he'll give it. That's why the Bible says this. The Bible says certain things to make it really clear. Like I said, we're not getting away from nothing today. We just, because I want to sit here and I really try to find ways to where we can just have these conversations. In Mark chapter 10, picking up at verse 25, it says this. This is why he's making some certain things to where we can't get around. It said, it is easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle. Have you ever seen the eye of a needle? I'm talking, you almost got to get a super magnifying glass sometime to put the string through there. And he's saying right here, it's easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than a rich man to enter into the kingdom of God. The devil will show you that world in a moment of time, in the glory of it. And so many people would take hold of that and want that temporary glory of the flesh. And they're going to lose their own soul. Many are seeking glory rather than the glory of God. They're going to seek the glory of man. Some is going to have complete trust in themselves. And that's a problem we also got with women and men. They trust in where they'll sit there. It's why you see I had that picture there. You have some women where they think that they are super, super fine, beautiful. Their bodies is right. Guys got their body right. Now they get shirt goes off. Body right, shirts off. Girls right, body, everything, they showing all their bodies, parts of their body. Why? Because they trust in what they do. And then they want to sit there and they want to have that appearance, showing people. And then they're going to sit there, once their body is right, now they still look down on people. You follow me? Let's look at this. I'm talking about we have many things, because if we ask him for these things, these are things we go through. We'll do these things. Some people just say, boy, I want me a banging body. Okay, you get that banging body. You make sure you're right. And we do these exact same things. It says, but thou trust in thy own beauty, your own ways of living, your own ways of thinking, your own body, and playeth a harlot because of thy renown. Meaning what? Because now you're famous. But the same thing is poured out thy fornications on every one that passes by. If they come by right, you're going to pour it out. You can't tell me we don't do it, because I'm going to show you, Paul going to tear a lot of this down for us. But these are things we do. You get some of these women, they feel they look so nice, they can get before some of these famous people or athletes, and they catch their eye. And the main thing is this. They'll make them do things to make sure they stay in their place. In Romans chapter 1, we're going to pick this up at verse 23. And they'll make them do these things. These things are going to happen and change the glory of the uncorruptible God. They're going to make them take the focus now off of God. The focus is no longer on God. You better put your focus on me. I'm the one that's doing this. I'm the one put you in this position. I'm the one that have you up in this house. I'm the one that bought you this car. I'm the one that did this. I'm the one that did this. Into an image like a corruptible man. Into birds and the four-footed beasts and creeping things. Check yourself. Think you ain't doing this? Well, we doing it. Oh, we doing it. But that ain't done. See, because it says this in verse 26. For this cause, God gave them up to vile affections. Why? Oh, you're going to clarify it. Let's go over to 26 and get more. For even their women did change the natural use of natural use unto that which is against nature. Are you serious? Yeah, I'm dead serious. They have done this. When you catch this man, and some have these men where they have great deals of wealth, a man might change and he don't want to enter through the front when he have intimacy with you. He want to go through where you have bowel movements. He want to enter through that way. But based on the wealth that he has, you're going to do things that is against nature. You can't tell me you don't do it, because they do it. This is what they do. You're going to do things because they have the money to do it. He says, all the kingdoms, he showed them all this in a moment of time. If you have money, you can make people do whatever you want to do. And you trusting in your own beauty. You got the person you was looking for, but he just making you do what you ain't comfortable in doing. But for you to stay in that house, you do them. But guess what? It gets back. It gets down even more. Likewise, also men. Same thing with men. It shocked me, because I found out just a couple of years ago. But it shocked me, and I never played school or any type of football. But we had played with friends. But it shocked me that you have a lot of men in the football arena, homosexuals. Homosexuals. The same as a lot of them is even in the basketball arena. No doubt how many is in baseball, because I don't know. But it's a lot in both arenas. And the reason I'm picking out even them two, because we have a lot of people that are black people or Israel, that is not really Israel, but they're acting as if they are Israel, that are there, and they full-blown homosexuals. And they leaving the natural use of the woman, burning their lust one towards another. One towards another. This is the stupidest thing in the world. You got men, even where we have brothers in jail. In jail. Think about it. In jail. And they feel they need their needs met, so they decide they're going to go through another man. Because you can find hell is their resting place. This is stupidity on top of stupidity. And it's telling you, men with men working that which is unseemly and receiving themselves that recompense, because they're going to get paid for that, for their error, which was meat. You're going to pay for that. You're going to pay for that. You got gorillas and monkeys got more common sense than we do. They know how to stay with their own, as well as they know how to stay with what's right. You ain't seen but then you get Gentiles try to sit there and say, "Oh, we got some gorillas that was homosexual." It's stupidity. They trying to sit there and make them like they us, meaning they like people. The human people is some of the stupidest people walking the face of this earth. It's not the animals, it's people. Because now, besides checking ourselves, now all Satan had to do is put some money in our hand. Now all of a sudden, we want to check other things. Trusting in bestiality, trusting in ourselves, in our beauty. But the Bible is clear. The Bible is so clear. Let's look at some of this. The Bible is clear on this. In Isaiah chapter 40, it says this. 40 and verse 8. It says this. The grass withereth, the flower fadeth. Don't think that beauty gonna stay there. Please don't think that beauty gonna stay there. See, and he sees us as lilies, sees us as flower, a beautiful flower that's in the field. But you remember that. That flower gonna fade. That flower is going to fade. The only thing going to stand on what is right is the word of God. That's going to stand forever. That's his beauty. So let's look at something. Let's go over to Psalms. Let's look at something. We want to look at something. We're going to go to Psalms chapter 10. Picking it up at verse 6. And we're going to sit there. It says, It says, he said in his heart, it shall not be moved, for I shall never be in adversary. Really? Didn't believe nothing gonna come and doing such things, never be encountering such problem, lying in prosperity and all this stuff, really? See, you're not being delusional, fulfilling yourself with these desires of manly flesh things, calamity, affections, distress, unhappiness, which is the adversary. Interesting. Interesting. His mouth, because these checks is right there. His mouth is full of cursings and deceit and fraud. Under his tongue is mischief and vanity, catching us in lies. Oh no, I never do this. You'll never see me doing this, Lord. And our mouth is full of cursings, deceit and fraud. Let not deny the obvious on what is true. If you being delusional and have a self-denial about checking yourself, you need to focus on getting right with God. You need to focus on that. So as we closing, you remember this. You remember these. You remember this. You keep this in mind. We're gonna go to Mark chapter 9. We're gonna go down to verse 43. Mark 9. We're gonna park over here at verse 43, and we're gonna see something. It says, "And if thy hand offend thee," we was in this way earlier. Cut it off. Mortify that bad boy. Cut that bad boy off. It is better for thee to enter into life maimed than have two hands and go into hell, into the fire that should never be quenched. You mortify that bad boy. Where their worm dieth not, and the fire is not quenched. You can go get all the air conditions you want. They ain't gonna clear you. Verse 44, he makes 45. It says, if thy foot offend thee, talking about, hey, she called, hey, you come on over here. I got something for you. And it's gonna offend you, gonna try to go over there, cut that bad boy off. Cut it off. Snip, snip. Cut that bad boy. It is better for thee to enter health into life. You better go in there as one leg. Go in one leg. And having 2 feet and be cast into hell, into the fire that never be quenched. Snip, snip. Where their worm dieth not, and the fire is not quenched. Snip, snip. If thy eye offend thee, she's sitting there swagging, got all dressed up, and you see every nook and cranny. She got on some Daisy Dukes, what they call them. And you sitting there, boy, girl, I can do some things to you. Pluck it out. Pluck that bad boy out. It's better to enter the kingdom of God with one eye than having 2 eyes and going to hell and fire. So we see. I know we get the point. I know you get the point. Just like we said, you mortify that bad boy. Because the main thing is this. In Romans chapter 8, verse 13, it tells you this. If ye live after the flesh, ye shall die. You're going to die doing that stuff. That stuff going to get you killed. But if you live through the Spirit and mortify the deeds of the body, you live. So we got to keep that in mind. We got to keep those things in mind. In matter of fact, let's drop down to let's go down to chapter 15. We're going to look at 1 and 3. It says, so then that the strong ought to bear the infirmities of the weak, and have not to please ourselves. No. Exactly. That's exactly the point. So if your arm is weak and your legs are strong, don't go. If your eyes are strong and your arms are weak, cut that bad boy off. Don't look. Let every one of us please his neighbor for his good, to edify, to edification. Meaning what? Edification. Being wise and discipline. Being wise and discipline. Verse 3, for even Christ pleased not himself. He didn't please himself. He came here to do a job. We are here to do a job. But as it is written, the reproaches of them that reproaches thee fell on me. Leave that stuff on the anointed one. Leave that stuff with Christ. Because we got to remember one thing. We here to take care of a job. So when he come, we are good. This is what we do know. So when he come, we ain't got to worry about nothing. Matthew chapter 15, picking it up at verse 24, because he said this. I am not sent. He ain't sent to flesh. He is not sent to the ones that don't take on the word of God. He only sent to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. That's who he sent down to. So we need to check ourselves and make sure we're doing what we need to be doing, because that is who he is sent to. People sitting there just thinking that, well, we can do this and we're good, and he's not saying that. So we make sure we know what we're doing. So in 1 Peter chapter 2, we're going to say, wherefore laying aside all malice and all guile and hypocrisies. All malice, all violence and destructor and slander, all guile, being deceptive and committing fraud and conspiracies, hypocrisies, lies, and all these things. We got to do these things. We got to make sure these things is going through. We want to make sure that we're okay on this. This is why we're saying what is happening now. So we need to make sure how we're going to make sure everything as we going through this, we go through. And it's telling you, envyings, and speaking evil. These envyings is being jealous. It says, but what's the one thing we need to do is this. As newborn babes desire sincere milk of the word, that ye may grow thereby. That's what our catch is. We need to take this doctrine and hold on to it. Take it as a newborn babe and desire the sincere milk of the word. But it's saying, if so be ye have tasted the Lord's gracious. Taste the Lord's gracious. So he's saying this as a whole. As we close, we say this. We look at Hebrews chapter 12 and verse 1 and 2. It says, wherefore seeing we are compassed about with so great cloud of witnesses, let us lay aside every weight. Don't be checking on somebody else. Lay aside every weight. Understand it. And sin which do easily beset us. Because we so quick to check somebody else. We need to be checking ourselves. Because that'll beset us. And let us run with great patience for that race that's set before us. Looking into salvation, the author and finisher of our faith, who, for the joy that was set before him, we need to endure the cross, despising the shame that is set down on the right hand of the throne of God. Meaning what? Besides we sitting there looking at everything else, we remember this. Remember this. Matthew chapter 16, picking it up at verse 24. And he says this. It says, then he says, making this clear, and to his disciples, if any man will come after me, you deny yourself. You check yourself. Deny yourself. Take up your suffering unto death, your cross, and follow him. That's what we are to do. It don't say check someone else. It says check yourself. Check yourself, and you come after him. So hopefully that we got some understanding there about checking ourselves. So with that, we got as I said, we got a lot of new people who's back in KJBU, King James Bible University class. And we want to appreciate those ones who have signed up for class. Now, mind you, if you guys downloaded the Teams app, everybody who signed up for class and that was admitted in, if you have a Teams app, you can go to the Teams app. If you ain't logged in, did all your stuff, you won't be able to get into the class because we have a class coming right after I leave here. So you're more than welcome to come back there. And if you come back there, you can go to the same thing what we doing. So you'll be able to go through the Daniel because we're going through Daniel chapter 11. And you're more than welcome to come back there. But if you haven't downloaded anything and then you try to get in, you'll kind of be wasting your time trying to send emails out at the last minute, which you should have done already this past week. So with that, we appreciate everybody who watched this, and then also we'll be picking up Romans tomorrow, and I believe we also have another class where I believe Deacon Mike and them is running a class also tomorrow. So with that, I'm going to go out here because I take a quick break, and then we'll be going into Daniel. And if you have any questions based on this teaching, then the class in the back, we'll be able to take those questions pretty quickly. Then we can go into Daniel. But if you haven't not joined the class, the Daniel class that we'll be going through, then just try to catch the next one because we'll be getting ready to go into Jonah. So you can be looking for that to come out to sign up for the book of Jonah. It'll be coming out within about I think the following week. By the end of this week, I know Jonah. Sign up for that class will be out. And most of these teaching that you'll see, we don't do in the front. We do them strictly in the class because the same thing is, I tell people all the time, you got a lot of campers like to go through here and they come through and they take a lot of this stuff and they go and they hairize it even more when they go out, especially Christians. So that's why a lot of these teachings we do in the back. So with that, I appreciate everybody. And right now, until next time. And tomorrow we'll be on KJBU, where we'll be going through the book of Romans. So until then, I say to each and every person, hey, shalom.
Drop it.